Remember when I said Quaylak was the queen of Rule 34? I lied. I present the Crossbreed Priscilla. It's quite a jump from ONS straight into the painted world of Ariamis. You technically have to go back to the Northern Asylum first, potentially kill another boss there, yes, but man, the level design of Lordran is so interesting and intertwined, I could spend days talking about it. Sadly, if I ever want to finish the series, I have to keep my priorities straight. The specific details of how you get into the Ariamis painting are not all that important for analyzing this boss, but it is important for you to understand what this world is. It's a cold, dark place. It's a place isolated from Lordran, and most importantly, even if you have the Lord Vessel and can warp to some bonfires now, when you get into the painting, there is no warping back. You have to explore it. You have to beat its boss. Or not. Maybe that's the twist of this boss. I won't go into detail of level design here, I just wanna mention the reappearance of the Demon Souls boss. In the middle of the courtyard there is a group of enemies that is extremely similar to the Demon Souls boss Phalanx. The model varies a bit, yes, but you can't deny the resemblance. Why is it here? Well, this location's core themes are very similar to the themes of Valley of Defilement, or maybe just FromSoft's reusing assets like they always do. Anyways, let's finally talk about this game's version of Made in Astera. If you don't know what I'm talking about, be sure to watch previous episodes, especially the one about Made in Astera. But who is Crossbreed Priscilla? There are some weird theories about her being the child of Sif, the Scales and Guinevere, but yeah, those are just theories. One thing we can be sure about is that she is a dragon crossbreed. How it worked, let's leave it to the R34 artists. The arena is quite unique. This is the first snowy location in the entire series. For once, it is not a square or rectangle shaped arena. This one is a circled arena, but I'm not really sure if it has any influence on the boss fights, so let's talk about the fight, because it is one of the most unique encounters in the entire series. You enter the fog wall and the boss, she speaks to you.
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast misstepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not. Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
There are not that many bosses that don't attack you on sight. So far we've only had one instance of something like that. But there you couldn't really exit the arena if you were already in it. You had to kill her in order to progress the story. Crossbreed Priscilla is not attacking you in any way. She kindly asks you to leave. Yeah, her followers, the inhabitants, aren't exactly, as she put it, kind and peaceful. But nevertheless, she is not hostile and you really can just go past her, jump into the void and leave this painting. I can think of only two other bosses that share this characteristic. I mean encounters in which you can just turn back and exit the arena with both you and the boss alive. What boss fights am I talking about? Maybe there are more than two of them? Tell me in the comments for some bonus points, I don't know. If you decide to attack her for whatever reason, she will disappear. Yep, a little blizzard goes through the arena and she fucking goes invisible. And it's not like she teleports out of the arena. The boss health bar appears and you can't leave now. But she can attack you. How do you even fight her now? I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of the puzzle boss fights. Fights like the Dragon Gods and, well, not many puzzle bosses so far. I think I'm not in a minority here. But when done right, puzzle boss in a Souls game can be one of the most memorable encounters. Why didn't Dragon God work? It was a cool spectacle, yeah, but a terrible Demon Souls boss. it had almost nothing in common with this game's core mechanics. You fought that demon by playing hide and seek with it. Then you just push the lever and that's it. Priscilla asks you to think outside the box, but you're still using this game's core mechanics to solve this puzzle. Okay, you can say that the Dragon God required outside the box thinking as well. You had to avoid its eyesight, something you've never done before in this game, but the way you've solved that puzzle had nothing to do with the core mechanics you've been practicing so far. Mechanics like stamina management, movement reading, being aware of your weapon animation's length, dodging in the right moment, being aware of your surroundings while exploring. Whenever I talk about this game's core mechanics, I have stuff like that in mind. But why is that such a big problem? Why is it so important that the bosses, enemies, play, interact, require you to use those core mechanics? Well, because we are playing Dark Souls and not Metal Gear Solid, right? This is the short answer. But you know me, we have to go deeper. In most games, or at least most action games, I think, you get better not only by leveling up, gathering better equipment. You get better by playing the game, by learning the movement patterns, by learning how the world is built, learning its core mechanics. Yeah, this may be basic stuff for some of you, but it is really important to understand why Dragon God sucked and Priscilla is great as a puzzle boss. Most bosses get easier as you replay a given game. This is why your first Souls game was probably the most difficult for you. And so, when some boss does nothing with the core mechanics and instead asks you to focus on something else, like playing hide and seek, this is unsatisfying. What was the point of learning all that stuff if the game just throws it out of the window and wants you to learn something completely different? Okay, maybe I digressed a bit too much here, but I hope you understand what I meant. Be aware of your game's core mechanics and be sure that every enemy, boss, every gameplay related situation plays off those mechanics. Imagine if instead of the Phalanx, the King Aland was the second boss, the fake one. He would be impossible to beat for most players, because they haven't leveled up their skills yet. But if a Dragon God was the second boss, you wouldn't have that much of an issue with defeating him, right? This is because he has nothing to do with the core gameplay mechanics. Priscilla is a great puzzle boss. You solve this puzzle by observing your surroundings, something you were doing all along, looking for items, hidden traps, secret locations. You will probably sooner or later notice that Priscilla leaves her footprints on the snow. You now know where she is, even though she is invisible, and then you can just use your weapons, magic or whatever to finish her off. This is, in my opinion, a great puzzle boss, because you had to think outside of the box, right? But at the same time, you are using skills that you are developing throughout your playthrough, skills in those core gameplay mechanics. And then you defeat her. She drops Soul of Priscilla that can be turned into her scythe, 30,000 souls, twin humanities, and Priscilla's dagger if you manage to cut her tail off. I hope that digression wasn't too long and too boring, and I hope now we all understand the importance of being consistent with game's core mechanics while designing a puzzle boss fight, or any boss fight really. Thanks for watching, to the next time.